We'll call the meeting to order. If you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, welcome everyone to our January 17th, 2023 regular meeting. Jenny, can you take the roll?
Councilmember Cole?
Here.
Councilmember Schwer?
Here.
Councilmember Nordby?
Here.
Mayor Monge is absent, and Mayor-elect Wong.
Here. All right, the next item is adopting the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor signify saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. All right, and the next item is the consent agenda. I'll turn it over to City Manager Frandl to read the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Consent agenda, item A, January 3rd, 2023 workshop minutes. Item B, general claims of $1,752,090.08. Item C, HRA claims of $12,449.32. Item D, police employee suspense hour overages of 2022. Item E, appointment to Arts and Culture Commission. Item F, building permit report, November and December of 2022. Item G, resolution accepting donations for December of 2022. Item H, resolution repealing resolution number 2022-113, adopting the 2023 City Council meeting schedule. And item I, resolution repealing resolution number 2023-008 and approving pause on the employee union contracts and employee manual policy regarding vacation accrual.
Thank you. Does anyone have an item they would like to pull from the consent agenda? Councilmember Cole?
I do. I would like to pull D, the police employee suspense hour overage 2022, and move it to the city business in action.
Okay, we'll make that item C. Anything else? So can I get a motion with that adjustment for the agenda?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
All right. Any discussion?
I do. I would like to have, I'm going to approve, that's not a problem. I do have concern with H, the resolution repealing the shortening the workshop, whatever all the numbers and letters Brian read was. I have a concern that we haven't adopted what our discussion topics are going to be. We haven't had the retreat, and the concern really lies is 60 minutes at certain times is definitely going to be tight, and I don't know if that gives staff a fair opportunity to get everything they want to have done and said in that period of time. So if we're struggling with time, I may ask that it be reverted back.
Any comments? Okay, thank you. Yes.
Question. It's fairly easy to table a workshop item till after the meeting if we need more time that day, correct?
Typically, when we don't have enough time, but we need a revisit, we'll revisit the workshop after the regular meeting.
And that's a practice I don't want to move forward with.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Councilmember Cole and Councilmember Schwer. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next item is meeting open to the public. So this is an opportunity for the public to share something that is not on the agenda, and it is for 3 minutes. I have John Schmall.
This time it's not on the agenda. We've visited that before. John Schmall, 2750 Chisholm Avenue. The first item was what came up in the last meeting. It was the naming of the commissions and the commission members. And for the Economic Development Authority, the former mayor was named, and it said it was a 3-year term, but the term was from 1/1/2023 to 12/31/2024. Now, if I count on my fingers, that's 2 years. So what are we trying to say? Does he get a 3-year term? I'm sure he would love to have it because he's never met a TIF district that he didn't fall in love with, and would be probably wanting to burden the citizens of the city with having to provide services for a TIF district that they won't get taxes for, to be used to provide services for 25 years. But anyway, that's just a comment that I'd like to make. But what is that? Is it for 2 years or is it for 3 years? Because below that, Robert Dew is supposed to be having a 3-year term, but does in fact have a date predated of 1/1/2022 to 12/31/2024. And above that, there is the mayor and Councilmember Cole, where they just say that the date of the ending of the term. So I'm looking for consistency, which is the hobgoblin of little minds and divines. And, can you make it, clear just what you're dealing with here? What is the term and what is the dates? What are the dates of the term? That's just a suggestion. You won't give me an answer on that,
I
but
can clarify that for you quick. It was a clerical error on Terry Furlong's. It should go through 25. And council members are every year. They have to be reelected every single year. So their terms are only for 1 year.
well, but it says that the mayor's term goes to 12/31/2026. If it's only for a year, then you got to change that date too. And we probably will. The other item, I'm up against the clock, is that there was something in the newsletter that the electric utility ponied up $15,000 for refrigeration equipment for the food shelf. Now, is there a known quantity of dollars that is available from the electric utility for use in buying things for activities? Can other people put in for those dollars if they're a 501c3 or a type of organization? How do you get into getting those dollars? Is there a procedure involved in getting these dollars, and how many dollars are available on a yearly, a monthly, whatever basis? Just a question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have Roseanne McCann up next. Welcome.
I think that's the right height. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, my name is Roseanne McCann. I live at 2275 15th Avenue East. I would like to present the proposal that the City of North St. Paul, the community that cares, instate a free snow removal program for seniors and physically unable. This could include sidewalks, driveways, roof edging, and at the bare minimum, they enter the driveway where it meets the street up to 6 feet into the driveway. It could follow the 2-inch snow plowing mandate or any other cleanup effort, something like the mess they got today and they were doing the streets. Qualifications for the snow removal program would be age, physically or medically unable, and if they were renters, only if it's in their lease that they must maintain the sidewalks. Some things that would come into play would be other members at that address that are capable of snow removal. You could register in September or October, but you could be added at any time due to a circumstance, such as breaking a leg or something. We'd be required to maintain a registered list organized by address. It could be simple for identification as having a big sign in your yard. Now, the major problems would be timing. It would need to be done right after a snow or a snow plowing situation. Also, equipment needs to be determined. Now, my question is, what do I do from here? Do I get a council member to work with me? Do I have to get a petition signed? Where should I go? What should I do? Because I hate to see some dead people in the street from shoveling snow.
I can follow up with you. I'll get your name, phone number if we can, and then I can touch base with you. Right, if you got it right now,
Yeah.
great.
I don't have the phone number.
Oh,
on
it's here?
but
You got it here.
Could you, yeah, could
Okay.
you add that, please?
If you could. Certainly can. Let me give you my card. You bet. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Roseanne.
I guess that's it.
Appreciate it. The next item is city business action items and recommendations, and I'll turn it over to City Manager Frandl.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually going to turn this right over to Brandy. It's Brandy's show tonight. Our Community Development Director. This is first on the encroachment agreement at 2470 McKnight Road.
Welcome, Brandy.
Thank you. Good evening again. This is a item that came to staff initially as a fence permit. The address in question is 2470 McKnight Road North. It is on the corner of 11th Avenue and McKnight. And there's an image on the screen of the property in question. So the applicants came in and had asked for a fence permit to reinstall or replace their existing 5-foot chain link fence to put up a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence. And in this process, we discovered that their existing fence and playground area encroaches into the right-of-way. And so digging back into the property files, we found that a conditional use permit was issued for this piece of property back in 2001. And the site plan that was included as part of their approval was the one that's shown on the screen, where it has a misrepresentation of the location of the property line in relationship to the fence and the playground area. So the approved site plan, which is the one shown, includes a 32-foot by 50-foot play area outside, and the dimensions of that play area are a requirement of the state licensure for daycares. And yeah, so it's misrepresented, and so they built it as it's depicted, but it didn't align with the actual property line. So this image shows an aerial photo of where the property line is, so you can see this kind of peach color here and see that their playground goes over the line by about 8 feet. So that's about 400 square feet in total area. So on reviewing this with staff, we kind of came to the conclusion that it's been in place like this since 2001 without any conflicts with the right-of-way. Because we're not talking about private property, it's not really a zoning issue, so a variance wasn't the route to go in terms of how can we work with this property owner to rectify this. So the encroachment agreement was what we came up with the city attorney, Soren, and he helped draft that agreement, reviewed the changes that we had put in there, and that's included in your in your packet. And one of the main features of that is that it can be terminated by the city at any time if we come up with any reasons why it would be an issue to have that in place. So our recommendation from council is to approve the enclosed encroachment agreement between the City of North St. Paul and Mandel Properties LLC for property located at 2470 McKnight Road.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions for Brandy? Councilmember Cole.
One quick question. Are there any easements that exist between, the city's got what, the first 11 feet?
Well, let's find out. From which point?
I believe it's from the curb, isn't it?
Well, we can get a,
My only reason for asking is certainly, the improvement of a privacy fence would be great, and the security for the kids, I think, is awesome as well. I just want to make sure moving forward that in the event that it's within the easement area, that all parties recognize that. In the event, they are going to be doing road work on McKnight. The county is, within the next 2 years, and that's my only reason for asking.
okay. I don't see any conflicts with McKnight, so is the question where it is
Correct.
from 11th then?
Yes, but they generally always come a couple of feet in, and if there's any updates the Public Works wants to do, I just want to make sure that accessibility is there and that everybody holds hands as we move forward so that everybody understands that, oh, I might have to move a fence, or I might have to do something for a short period of time.
So it looks like it's about 20 feet from the curb to the property line. So subtract 8 feet from that, so you get about a 12-foot. I'm not entirely sure where the easements lie, if there are any easements on 11th Avenue. But if and when 11th Avenue comes along for reconstruction, we would have conversations with the city engineer and also with the property owners to figure out how we can best.
It's just a risk for the business owner, and I just want to make sure that they know it, if it did exist, that they knew it going in.
Okay, thank you for that comment.
Thank you. Any other comments? Are there any comments from the audience? Yeah, please come on up. Welcome.
Hi, Council. Thank you for your time. My name is Christina Dvorak, and I'm the owner, or I'm the leasee for Our Kids Walk in Childcare there at Mandel Properties. And I really think it was a fairly smooth process to work with the city to move this along and get, recommendations that made sense, not just for us and our needs, but for the city. And I fully understand the liabilities that come up in this type of situation. Well, I have an idea of liabilities, I should say. And I think that this recommendation will allow me to maintain my compliance with the child care statute, with a requirement minimum of 75 square feet per child for outdoor space. And so we had, configured a couple different scenarios, and we had found that ultimately, splitting up the play space to the other side of the building, we'd only have 6 feet of right-of-way there too, or with the property line for the high school. So this really is kind of our only option. And so a recommendation would be, that's agreed upon by all of you, would be really good for us as the daycare there that's new. So thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor-elect. I just wanted to sort of reiterate from a legal standpoint that this is a permission that the city is granting, that this is not sort of a blanket, anyone can encroach on any right-of-way. This is specific findings based on this property. We've worked with the city engineer, talked with Public Works to make sure that there is no, conflict between the current uses. And then it can be, if there is a conflict in future, it's a 30-day notice is all that's required to terminate.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, do I have a motion to approve the encroachment agreement between City of North St. Paul and Mandel Properties LLC for the property located at 2470 McKnight Road?
All motion?
Motion by Councilmember Schwer
Second?
and second by Councilmember Norby. Any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those that oppose? All right, the motion carries. The next item is the sign ordinance amendment, and I'll turn that over to Brandy.
For those of you that are new on council, the city updated the sign ordinance. We did a complete overhaul of that, which was approved in June of last year. And that was about an 8-month process with the Planning Commission. And it was a complete rewrite, more or less. Just wanted to point out a couple of exceptions to that. The multi-tenant building regulations remained largely intact. And then the dimensional standards by districts also kind of stayed the same in order to prevent from having a wide swath of non-conforming signs. So that was approved in June. And following adoption of the ordinance, we noted a few amendments that would be helpful. There's three of them. One is clarification of the definition of what is a sign face. The second is the setback for non-permanent signs, which is our new word for temporary signs in the sign ordinance, and the multi-tenant building sign regulations. So the definition of sign face was actually in the ordinance, or it is currently in the ordinance. It's just in a place where it doesn't make logical sense. Where we talk about the how to measure a sign, that's where we describe the sign face. So instead of keeping it there, we're kind of pulling it out and just putting it in the definition section. So there is no change to the definition. It's just moving it from one place to another. The second item is setbacks for non-permanent signs. This is one of those regulations that was retained from the old ordinance, that all non-permanent signs have to be set back a minimum of 10 feet. So all temporary signs have to be set back from the right-of-way by 10 feet. And in September, it came to our attention that a city-specific sign was put in the right-of-way in non-compliance with that ordinance. So in addition to staff educating other staff members on the new regulations, the Planning Commission has discussed this issue, and they came to the conclusion that a modification to the ordinance would be appropriate that would allow for smaller signs, like the tiny garage sale type signs, to be a little bit closer to the street. So if it is 4 feet or smaller, those signs that are non-permanent can be placed 2 feet back from the curb. Otherwise, larger signs still have to meet the 10-foot requirement. And the final issue was the multi-tenant building signs. So the existing regulations require for a master sign plan for these buildings, and a lot of them are in existence, or a lot of the multi-tenant buildings are already in existence, and none of them actually have multi-tenant sign plans. So it's very difficult to enforce and to require them to go survey their site to get a complete master sign plan. Seems a little onerous and not very business friendly. So we're suggesting that we eliminate that requirement. And another issue with the sign ordinance was that the rules for multi-tenant signs were inconsistent. The total surface area of individual signs in the multi-tenant specific regulations was that the total surface area of those signs can't exceed the district standards. But when you look at the district standards, it says that the square footage is based on the aggregate of all signs on the site. So when you look at buildings like the one on the screen, this is just the side that's facing the street. If you were to apply that standard, that the aggregate of all signs on the site could only meet the district standard, which is like 300 square feet, and then you add up all the signs on the front, the street side, and the parking lot side, we're gonna way exceed that. So we've modified the rules so that every leasehold area would have one building facade sign per each building facade, and that area would be limited to 20% of that wall area. And then all other signs on the site would have to adhere to the typical standards for other non-wall signs. So that was vetted by Planning Commission, and they held a public hearing last month. And they have come to the conclusion that they recommend council approval of the proposed amendment to Chapter 154, the sign ordinance of the municipal code.
Thank you, Brandy. Any questions? Comments? Councilmember Norby?
On the small signs, less than 4 square feet, is there any, wording to prevent them from being electric?
If you wanted to have an electric sign, that would be a permanent sign, presumably, and so that would be a completely different process than there are specific regulations for electronic message boards.
Okay. They're starting to sell some of the even, vote councilman signs that blink now, so I didn't know if that was.
Oh, I haven't seen those before. I think that would still fall under the electronic sign.
Okay,
Yeah.
I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Next item, City Manager Frandl.
Thank you, Mayor-elect. The next item is the,
Need to approve that?
Oh, sorry, yeah, we have to
Or
approve that.
I'm sorry.
Do we need to approve it, or was it just, okay?
Excuse me.
You're correct.
Do I have a motion to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 157 of the Municipal Code?
So moved?
A motion by Councilmember Norby,
Second.
second by Councilmember Cole. Is there any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. And then now I'll turn it over to City Manager Frandl.
Thank you, Mayor-elect. So item C is under the business action items. It's the item D from the consent agenda that was pulled for police employee suspension hours overages of 2022.
We'll open up for discussion.
Thank you. The reason I had it pulled was I didn't find enough information in the packet to make a true assessment as to what the suspension hours actually was, the total dollar amount involved. So I would like to propose a motion that this be tabled to the next council meeting, and it be added to the agenda for the next workshop so that we can talk through just exactly what the dollar amount is and how that relates to the overtime pay and where the whole thing stands.
Any other questions or comments?
One of the questions I wanted to ask about it and possibly add to Tim's very valid points. My understanding is this was a result of the unfortunate ability for them to not be fully staffed. If they were fully staffed, this wouldn't have happened. That being said, if this motion gets approved, the money that's approved for this motion, is it fair that that be allocated against the 2022 budget rather than the 2023 budget?
That's a good point, and we can bring that up with our finance director just to make sure, and we can bring that information forward at the next workshop.
Okay, thank you.
So do I have a motion to table the police employee suspense hour overages?
So moved, Your Honor.
Moved by Councilmember Cole,
Second?
second by Councilmember Norby. All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Sorry, jumped the gun.
Opposed? The motion carries. All right. And the next item is reports of city manager and departments.
Thank you, Mayor-elect. I'm going to turn that over again to Brandy right away, have her here to do a department update, and then I'll take the rest of the departments after she's done.
Thank you.
I have a pretty informal report for tonight, but I wanted to let you know that I have staff working on a 2020 annual review. So I think we'll be doing that forthcoming, and so the next one should probably be next January for 2023. Excuse me. So the Community Development Department is comprised of myself and 3 administrative assistants, Jill, Sarah, and Chris. And we're all fairly new. Jill started as a full-time employee last January, 2022. Sarah came on board in September, and Chris, Trini, and myself started in November. So we're brand spanking new department. And what we do in community development, we oversee many of the commissions. So that includes the Planning Commission, Park and Rec Commission, the Arts Commission, and the Economic Development Authority. Our responsibilities include customer service, permitting and licensing, planning, economic development, grant writing, and management. And our projects that are currently active include the Lilly Building, which has actually just received notification today of their 3rd grant award. So they applied for 3 and they got all 3 of them. So that's great news for them. we will be reviewing at the Planning Commission level next, in February, a site plan for a new Dunkin' Donuts at the site of the former gas station. I'm not sure what kind it was, but at the corner of 11th and McKnight in the Polar Plaza. It's the corner building there. Sorry, the easternmost portion of that building. And then we'll also be looking at a variance request from AT&T to extend the existing cell tower, the cell tower that's across the street from Public Works. So they'll be evaluating that. And then we're also working on ordinance updates, as you have learned tonight. Other projects that we are working on as a department are improving our OpenGov platform to make the user experience a little bit better and better align the workflow with how things need to be reviewed internally. I came up with a development review packet that kind of outlines what we're going to do process-wise so that it's an easy one-stop shop for developers that want to come in and have kind of an easy tool to figure out how it runs through the city. And then I'm also working with Carrie as time permits on updates to the website. And we're also looking at existing contracts and evaluating if they need to be brought forward to council for consideration of different vendors. So that is kind of the broad overview, and I can answer any questions that you might have about community development.
Any questions? Dunkin' Donuts, huh? It's exciting.
Take the kids over from the daycare and get them all hopped up on, on sugar and send them away.
All right. Thank you. City Manager Frandl.
Thank you, Mayor-elect. So meeting with the other departments today, electric department's doing a lot of line clearance this time of year. It pays off tremendously for summer storms. Even this time of year, we've been seeing it with this wet, heavy snow. We've had branches come down, trees come down, but we've had minimal damage to overhead power lines due to their trimming. So that works out really well. And Jenny, maybe I'll put you on the spot here, but we're looking at the ADT software and part of ADP, excuse me, which deals with the HR and payroll. And you want to speak a little bit to that?
Sure. I'll be bringing it to council probably next meeting or the meeting after that, and I'll have a lot more information as to the, in bringing it to the software system. And we're looking and bringing it the fourth quarter. It will help with open enrollment, new employees. Everything will be a lot more convenient for employees and for staff as well, where they're able to bring information up on their phone. It eliminates our paper trail, double entry, so it'll eliminate and help with a lot of possible errors. So looking forward to it, and we'll give you more information.
Yeah, a lot of time is spent with employees, whether or not they're looking up how they filed certain forms, maybe at the beginning of the year, throughout the year, but then they'll have access to their forms anytime they want to go into that. I think it'll be a pretty nice program. And that's been vetted out by the finance director as well, so we're looking forward to that. Fire department did hire somebody as their fire inspector, and that's Ethan Johnson. So he'll be starting up very soon. Excited to get him on board. PD's still looking to fill one position over there, and then they'll be at the full capacity, which would be great. Public Works as well as fire department have been cleaning out around fire hydrants, getting them cleared with all the snow we've had lately. Electric's been doing that as well, around their cabinets. Talking to Public Works, they probably hauled a good 500 loads of snow down behind McKnight Fields now. We've actually hired a contractor to push that up with a bulldozer so we can have more room depending on what the rest of the winter's gonna deal to us. That's about it, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Do I have any reports from council commissions and committees? All right. Councilmember Cole.
So it's with a heavy heart that I'm handing the Park and Rec over to Councilmember Schwer. I will attend the first meeting with you. I believe I've got at least 6 years invested with them. They're a whole lot of high energy folks, and it's exciting and it's fun. So This will be my last report for the Park and Rec, and that report is, next meeting is Wednesday, the 25th, 6:30 here in council chambers. The EDA met on the 10th. There were two primary areas of conversation. The first area was the EDA is looking to solicit a video company to create a marketing tool for the city. They have agreed to pay for a portion of it, and they're probably going to be presenting to council. They're looking for additional funding from HRA, Parks, and again, it's highlighting the city. It's probably been 7-8 years since they've done their last one. It's just time to refresh. That was one of the areas of conversation. The other area of conversation was McKnight North and putting a left-hand turn lane into Target parking lot and the adjacent businesses that run right along that side of the street, as opposed to having to go all the way up to 11th to make the turn. So a lot of questions that need to be addressed, but that was part of the conversation. Next EDA meeting will be Tuesday, February 14th, at 3 o'clock here in council chambers.
Thank you. Councilmember Schwer has not, no.
Nothing to
updates?
update.
Thanks. Norby?
I wasn't able to attend the planning commission on the 5th, but I did watch it by YouTube. One of the sentiments that they really wanted to convey is they wanted to thank you, and there was a lot of talk about this. They really wanted to thank you for your insight and your time for the 2 years that you were the council liaison. So I wanted to make sure I passed that on, and thank you.
Thank you. And then as for the Arts and Culture Commission, we met on January 11th. Tom Sonic was reelected to chair. Carrie Nadeau was elected to vice chair. There's 2 new commissioners that were approved by this council, and they joined that meeting. We also looked at a student application, which you all approved this evening as well. And we discussed an ordinance for Project Snowy, which we discussed in workshop. I think the Arts and Culture Commission is extremely efficient, and they are go-getters. So I think we've got a lot of things coming down the pike from that group, from guided paintings to electric box wraps, partnership with the Parks and Rec around Fall Frolic, Project Snowy, the Art Cart, and exploring a mural. So they're busy, but they're very committed. All right. Any general business? Councilmember Cole.
The Community Center Core Group had a meeting here a couple of weeks ago, and again, those who aren't familiar, the city has hired a consulting group by the name of WOLD, W-O-L-D, to help take a look at what the community center is going to look like going forward. The city had several meetings in town, and the residents feel that it truly is an asset to the community. So what is it going to look like? What's it going to do? What's it going to be utilized for? So at the last meeting that we had, we reviewed possible users of the building, and we'll reach out to a few of those that we hadn't been able to get in contact with, what their use for the property would be. The group is planning on presenting to council at a workshop in February to bring everyone up to speed. They're also looking to apply for grants and to find some additional funding to help offset some of the maintenance that needs to be done on the property. I also want to bring up the fact, just help the fire department see red. I know that the firefighters, when they've been out on call and out on training, have been digging out fire hydrants. And I know Public Works also went out, I think, today and cleaned a bunch of them out as well. But if you have on your property or live near, we had a lot of snow this year, so helps everybody out if you can just go shovel a couple of scoops of snow out, so that when they're pulling up, they've got greater visibility as to where the hydrant is. I want to give a huge shout out to all those who helped with the fire and ice that was at Housy Park last weekend, 2 weekends ago. The fire department for staffing and taking care of the bonfires. I want to thank Public Works for flooding the rink, removing all the snow, making sure the sidewalk was clear, getting everything done there. I want to thank Jill and Carrie just for their efforts and getting everything pulled together. in taking care of. The Park and Rec did a great job in getting a good turnout and a good crew out there to help as well. And I truly believe that there needs to be a little 3-on-3 hockey tournament between the fire department and the police department, both of which had good representation with their skates on the ice. So just like to bring that up. And and the fire department for setting fires.
Thank you, Councilmember Cole. Councilmember Schwer?
I too just want to thank the fire department, I thank the fire department as well, but I want to thank the public works. They've really worked hard this season and especially over the past few weeks of snow removal. Driving downtown today, I recognize that majority of the fire hydrants are wide open, and it just brings peace to me that our fire department can reach those as needed. Recently, in the city of St. Paul, I believe it was, that their hydrant wasn't covered, and it, unfortunately, the house ended up burning to where they can't use it anymore. So thank you for the Public Works for working hard at that.
Thank you. Councilmember Norby?
I would just want to thank Councilmember Cole and Schwer for their sentiments, and I agree wholeheartedly. We're working with a great crew, and thank you.
Yeah, same. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I would first like to congratulate you for the first time sitting in the mayor's chair. You did a phenomenal job. Very proud of what was done.
Thanks.
And yes, motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilmember Cole.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Schwer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned.